Yes, Geordies, welcome back to another episode. The first thing I want to say, as always, I hope everyone's well. The second thing I want to say, I'm over that Leeds game. Let's just put it behind us, move forward as a football club. Now it's transfer deadline day tomorrow. I cannot wait for this because I do think there's going to be some movement involving Newcastle United. So today we've got an interesting video because I want you to decide on your preference. Now, we have brought in Nick Woltemade, so we're going to be looking at how Stuttgart got the best out of him and who he was paired with at Stuttgart in order for him to thrive and create a partnership on the pitch. And then we're going to be comparing the two players that we've been linked with, Yoane Wissa and Jørgen Strand Larsen. But we're going to be doing it differently. Instead of looking at their attributes, we're going to be looking at their movement, on-pitch actions, looking at statistics and how they compare to each other. And then I want you to decide your preference, putting money aside. Because to be honest, Yoane Wissa brought out that statement today and I can't help but to feel disappointed. What is football coming to, in all honesty? I don't want to make this video about that statement, but I just want to say that I find it incredibly disappointing that players are acting this way. Alexander Isak, Yoane Wissa, the pair of them are absolutely babies. Oh, well, he promised I could leave. I'm not playing for the club anymore. I grow up, man. It's your agent's fault. I don't care if it was written on a bit of paper for Yoane Wissa. Whatever was written on that paper must be incredibly vague. Because to say we'd sell you for a reasonable price for Brentford could be 100 million. At the time, if that conversation did happen, Brentford still had Brian Mbeumo. So they probably said to Yoane Wissa, if a reasonable bid comes in, we'll sell you. That reasonable bid might have been 30 million. But now it's 60 million because I've already lost Brian Mbeumo. Does that make sense? And all this going on social media and putting statements out, it's just childish. If there is contracted, written, binding contract that you're allowed to leave this summer, Yoane Wissa could take legal action against Brentford. That's the direction it should be going in. That was the case. We'll have release clauses for a reason. If that conversation took place, there would have been a price involved. As soon as that Brentford mentioned that price, that's when you get it put into the contract. You can get a release clause put into your contract without extension. That's exactly what Yoane Wissa's agent should have done. So for me, it's a joke. And I'm also going to say, I don't believe Yoane Wissa is worth 65 million. I don't even believe Strand Larsen's worth 65 million. But we're here now. These are the two players that are getting linked. In the back of my mind, I'm starting to think that we might actually have a surprise up our sleeve and just sign another striker out of nowhere. And I mean, if it's up to me, I'd rather sign somebody like Emmanuel Omega for 40 million or Conrad Haga for 30 million or Mohamed Miete or Kias Ilya or Kaio George. Somebody with a better upsell value and a higher ceiling that we can develop into a good player. But we're here now, aren't we? So we are going to be talking about Nick Woltemade because I am sick and tired of TalkSport saying he's too similar to Strand Larsen. That is absolutely a joke. It just goes to show me that it's lazy journalism and they've never seen either Strand Larsen play or Nick Woltemade play. So I've done some research and I want to give you some statistics on Nick Woltemade because when I say he's so well-rounded, I mean he's so well-rounded. We all know he had his breakthrough season last season with Stuttgart in the 2024-25 season and he's numbered. And when I say what, I mean what. So let's just go through. He ranked 6th for centre forwards in the Bundesliga last season for dribble attempt with 73. 4 of his dribbles ended in a goal. That was only bettered by Jamal Musiala and Omar Marmoush, who had 5 each. Only 10 players in the whole of the Bundesliga bettered his 13 chance creating carry. So when I talk about him being exceptionally good on the dribble, I mean he's exceptionally good on the dribble. That is nothing like Jørgen Strand Larsen. Against centre forwards in the Bundesliga last season that played 900 minutes or more, Nick Woltemade created the most open play chances per 90 with 1.9. Is Jørgen Strand Larsen very creative? No, he's not. He's 0.25 expected goal assisted per 90 were only better by just 6 players in the whole of the Bundesliga. Now, I've already spoken about his desire to drop deep and link up play and get involved in the game. His 2-point shot per 90 shows he's useful around the box as well. All but one of his shots came inside the penalty area. So he also has that desire to get in the box himself, which is very useful. Now, although we speak about his ability in possession, Nick Woltemade ranked 4th among Bundesliga centre forwards, again with 900 or more minutes, for proportion 17.8% of off-ball runs into the penalty area that made him available for a cross. So those statistics tell you not only is he highly creative, he's also got those goal-scoring instincts and desire to get in the box. So when I say he's very well-rounded, he's very well-rounded. Now, is there still a lot of rawness to him? Absolutely. Is there weaknesses to him? Absolutely. Is he the finished article? Absolutely not. Can he be very frustrating? Yes, of course he can. So I'm not sitting here telling you that we are signing the next best thing, because we're definitely not. But his profile suggests that he can create for his teammates as well as himself, but he also has that desire to get in the box. Now, it doesn't always work out, but the statistics don't lie. So he's got nothing similar to Jørgen Strand Larsen. In fact, the only thing that is similar is probably his height. So when TalkSport and Alex Crook are talking about, oh, well, they're not going to sign Jørgen Strand Larsen because he's too similar to Nick Woltemade, just don't believe it. And the words in white just highlight exactly what I've been trying to say. Nick Woltemade was the most well-rounded centre forwards in Europe last season. He was one of just 6 players from Europe's top 5 league, again with 900 or more minutes, to average 2 shots per game, 0.3 2 or more shots per game, which shows that he's a high-volume shooter, 0.3 non-penalty XG, which shows that he does get into good positions, 7.0 touches in the opposition box. What do I always say? I want my striker to have a lot of touches in the opposition box. 1 open play chance created per 90 with 1.9. So he's so well-rounded, guys. And this is why he was my first striker video 3 months ago. Now, what I want to do now is look at Stuttgart's style of playing, how they got the best out of him, because the truth is, Nick Woltemade is not a conventional number 9. He's more of a hybrid between a 9 and a 10. So he's like a 9.5. Obviously, his height does give him the advantage in some situations when he's holding up play, but Stuttgart spent most of their time in a 4-2-4 formation. That meant that Nick Woltemade was consistently paired with a striker. That graphic shows the amount of percentage of time Stuttgart had their formation when they were in possession, and the 4-2-4 shape was the highest amount of time spent in possession. So if, and it's a big if, Eddie Howe wants to play with a 2-tier frontman, what would Nick Woltemade need? What kind of profile would bring the best out of his attributes? But first of all, what kind of striker did Newcastle United need? The centre forward's movement and positioning in and around the penalty area is absolutely key. They need to have the ability to attack crosses and understand space in transitional situations. Those are the characteristics that Newcastle United need, because we're a counter-attacking style. Nick Woltemade last season spent the majority of last season paired with Ermendine Demirovic, who is a 6'1" striker, but he plays a lot more as a traditional number 9 than Nick Woltemade. Now, I've put his heat maps on there, and I've done that for a reason, because if you have a look at his heat map from 2023 to 24 in comparison to 2024-25, he was a lot more involved in the game. Now, the difference between 2023-24, 2024-25 didn't have Nick Woltemade in the first season. So what I'm trying to say is, the truth is, Demirovic adapted his game to complement Nick Woltemade. So he transformed his game from a target man who would drop deep, invite others in to the game and link up play, to become more of a channel runner and a box presence. That allowed Nick Woltemade to be the one that drops deep and gets involved in play and links up play. Because if you look at the first season's heat map, he likes to hover around that left half space. Now, I want you to keep that in mind, because if we move it on and have a look at Nick Woltemade average positioning, he's now occupying that left half space. So his partner was the one that allowed Nick Woltemade to get involved in possession. He was the one that said, you get involved in the game, I'm going to pin the strikers back. This allowed both strikers to play off each other. So what it meant was Nick Woltemade was often attracting central defenders to come deep, creating space in behind for Demirovic to exploit. So Nick Woltemade used his fancy footwork and his spatial awareness to drop deep, link up play, while his partner became more instinctive and much more of a channel runner. Nick Woltemade's partner thrived from second balls, attacking half spaces, finishing chances, and pinning defenders back. The reason why it's important to pin defenders back, because that creates more space for Nick Woltemade to operate between the lines. So what we've learned there is Nick Woltemade wants to come deep, drop deep, and that creates space in behind. So you need a striker that is comfortable in transition moments, that is comfortable running channels, but that is also comfortable not getting involved in play as much, but has the ability to finish chances. So we need a box presence. Now, in these opening 3 games of the Premier League season, Newcastle United have actually created the 4th most shots, but we've only scored 2 goals. Now, what else do we rank really high on? We've actually provided the most crosses this season, 10 more than second place. That just goes to show that we do provide a lot of crosses. We move the ball out wide, so we need somebody that's clever inside the penalty area. Now, I've already spoke about Nick Woltemade's desire to get in the box, but you also need that box press. So what we need is somebody that is comfortable playing on the last line of defense, somebody that can attack and run in behind into the space that Nick Woltemade has just created. So now we're going to compare Jørgen Strand Larsen to Yoane Wissa to see which would benefit Nick Woltemade the best. The first thing I want to do is compare some statistics, because on the first eye, when you look Yoane Wissa and Jørgen Strand Larsen, it looks like big man versus little man comparison. But I'm here to tell you that they actually share a lot of similar characteristics, even if their proficiency of said skills do differ. So let's look at goals first of all. I mean, the first positive, they both overperformed their XG. Yoane Wissa scored 19 goals with an XG of 18.5. Jørgen Strand Larsen scored 14 goals with an XG of 10.3. Now, shots on target, Jørgen Strand Larsen came out on top. He had an on-target rate of 61.1%, which is absolutely insane. He was averaging 0.26 goals per shot per 90, which is higher than Yoane Wissa. So when it comes to efficiency in his ball striking, Strand Larsen is absolutely incredible. When it comes to XAG, which means expected assisted goals which follow a pass that assists a shot, Jørgen Strand Larsen surprisingly comes out on top. So not only was he better at hitting the target, he was better at assisting goals. Now this one is a key one, and something that's very rarely spoken about. That's progressive passes received. Now what is a progressive pass? Progressive pass is a pass that moves your team 25% up the pitch. Yoane Wissa actually received more progressive passes than Strand Larsen, which shows that he's comfortable playing on that last man, but he's also comfortable being an option for the man in possession. Now, we've also got Nick Woltemade to do that, who received the most progressive passes in the whole of the Stuttgart team last season. Now, touches per 90 is also an important one, because I've spoke about the importance of allowing Nick Woltemade to get on the ball, and the other striker being a channel runner and looking to exploit space. Yoane Wissa is actually getting involved in play more than Strand Larsen. He's averaging more touches in the attacking third as well as more touches in the opposition box. Now, what I do like about both Yoane Wissa and Strand Larsen, they are exceptional at getting into good positions. Although Yoane Wissa was averaging more shots per 90, they were both one of the highest in the Premier League for XG per shot. XG per shot just simply means the high quality of chance. So they're so good at getting into goal scoring position. Better than Erling Haaland, better than Issa. Surprisingly, Brennan Johnson is just as good. But as you can see, Yoane Wissa is probably the best in the Premier League last season, getting a high quality chance. No wonder he scored 19 goals. However, they both do it in different ways, and I'm going to share screenshots and show you exactly what I mean in a minute or two. But before we do that, I want to show you exactly what I'm talking about, and how they get involved in play, because this graphic tells 1,000 words. So this graphic compares Strand Larsen and Yoane Wissa's off-ball run. And as you can see, Yoane Wissa is a lot more unselfish than Strand Larsen. So the takeaways from that graph, Yoane Wissa's unselfishness to make overlapping and underlapping runs stand out. So he will combine with teammates. He will move into channels a lot more. He will go into wider areas a lot more than Strand Larsen. So let's break it down. When it comes to crosses received, so getting on the end of crosses, Strand Larsen is absolutely exceptional, 92 out of 100, whereas Yoane Wissa is 69 out of 100. Now these are the important ones. When it comes to coming short, Yoane Wissa ranks 78 out of 99, whereas Strand Larsen ranks 31 out of 99. So Strand Larsen's a type of forward that will pin the centre-back back, allowing midfielders or his partner to get involved in the play. When it comes to support run, this is also important when you're playing with a profile like Nick Woltemade, because it offers Nick Woltemade a pass. Yoane Wissa's averaging 87 out of 99, whereas Strand Larsen's averaging 18 out of 99. When it comes to dropping off, Strand Larsen ranks higher with 40 out of 99, Yoane Wissa 37 out of 99, so there's not much splitting them when it comes to dropping off and receiving a pass. Now, when it comes to underlapping and overlapping runs, Yoane Wissa stands way out. But when it comes to runs ahead of the ball, Yoane Wissa is averaging 79 out of 99, whereas Strand Larsen 37 out of 99. So what I'm trying to say here is, Yoane Wissa is a lot more fluid in his movement than Strand Larsen. Now, one important aspect is runs in behind, because I think this is very important in order to profile with Nick Woltemade, because Nick Woltemade is somebody that wants to come and receive the ball, drop into the half spaces, so you need that other forward running in behind, and only 1% splits them. Strand Larsen's on 51 out of 99, whereas Yoane Wissa's 52 out of 99. So remember what I said earlier about Newcastle United putting in the most crosses this season? I actually think your Strand Larsen would thrive off that. But when it comes to movement and fluidity in the final third, that's what you're going to get out with Yoane Wissa. But they do both do it in different ways. So let's start with Strand Larsen first, because he's more of a conventional, traditional, old school striker where he attacks a ball with pace and power. As you can see, he doesn't mind being shoulder to shoulder with the defender, because he knows he's got the power, the movement, and the timing to get in front. As you can see, shoulder to shoulder with Zebrani here. Zebrani is a very good defender, good anticipation. He's strong, wins a lot of duels, but Strand Larsen just absolutely bullies him, gets in front of him here. Wolves level at 1-1. So he's a lot more, I'll be static, but then I'll burst into space. Now, considering Newcastle have put in the most crosses this season, Anthony Elanga had the 4th most crosses last season. Newcastle could do with this sort of profile. I'll show you another example on what I mean about attacking space because Nick Woltemade is dropped deep. Now, look at Matthias Cunha. He played in a similar role to what Nick Woltemade likes to play, where he got involved in play, wants to create chances, he drops deep and links up play. Look at Strand Larsen's movement here. It is absolutely exceptional. Just breaking in between the centre-back and the full-back. This is what I'm talking about, attacking those half spaces. And he gets into this position and he scores for Wolves. Wolves go 2-0 up. That is the exact sort of movement you need when you've got a profile like Nick Woltemade. At Werder Bremen, he didn't have this profile of movement. So one thing I will say, if we do not sign a striker this window to play alongside him, or if we're not going to play 2 strikers, then we need to have midfield runners. We need to have deep runners from midfield. We need Anthony Elanga to run into those half spaces. Need Anthony Gordon to run into those half spaces. Because if we don't, we're not going to be threatening and we won't get the best out of Nick Woltemade. You need those bodies running into the channels he's just created. But again, I spoke about Strand Larsen, Yoane Wissa's movement being slightly different. And this is what I mean. If you remember, Strand Larsen's more of a bullish movement, whereas Yoane Wissa is more clever movement. His movement is more getting on the blind side and getting into these positions. So when it comes to Yoane Wissa's finishing chances, he's all about one-touch finishes, getting ahead of his man and attacking the ball. So you need to have deep runners from midfield. We need Tino, Lewis Hall getting into these positions to cut it back. That's where Yoane Wissa thrives. Strand Larsen thrives off crosses. You can put them in the air and he will absolutely just bully defenders in the air. Whereas Yoane Wissa is a little bit more clever and cute with these movements. You need to create chances like this where it's going to be cut back and he can get into good positions where he's got an open goal to put himself in. And again, you only do this by using third man runs. That is something that we've lacked these 3 opening Premier League games. That is something I want to see Newcastle United do more. Brentford were one of the best teams at creating third man runs. So we need Bruno getting in these positions. We need Jacob Ramsey getting in these positions. Against Leeds, I highlighted an opportunity where we could have made a run like this and get into these positions, but Tino didn't make the pass. Little moments like that can win you games. When you've got a profile of striker like Yoane Wissa, he'll thrive off opportunities like this because his movement is so intelligent inside the box. Whereas Strand Larsen doesn't really need intelligent movement. He's got the physical attribute to be more powerful. Now, I'll give you another example of what Yoane Wissa likes to do. He likes to run ahead of his man, whereas Strand Larsen doesn't really need to be ahead of his man is what I'm trying to say. So if Nick Woltemade drops deep, we need with midfielders get in behind in order to get the best out of Yoane Wissa. Whereas when it comes to Strand Larsen, Nick Woltemade can drop deep, play the ball out wide, and then we can put inviting balls into the box. Look, I want to hear your thoughts because it is interesting that different types of profiles, although there is some similarities in terms of where they like to position themselves on the pitch, their movement does differ. When it comes to touches, shots per 90, XG rate, Yoane Wissa and Strand Larsen are quite similar. So look, I want to hear your thoughts. Put money aside, which would you prefer? Yoane Wissa or Strand Larsen? Let me know in the comments because it's deadline day tomorrow. And tomorrow, we're going to see who, if we do sign the striker. But once again, if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And until next time, away the lads.